Alright, I don't know what possessed me to draw somebody with 4 arms, but here we are. Okay, so it's been a while, but I'm back with another redesign. I got requested a while back to do a design for Sheeva, and I believe it was specifically a MK1 redesign of Sheeva. Not gonna lie, I've never been the biggest Sheeva fan. Even Goro's designs have always been rather on the plain side. Sheeva to me just always screamed as a female Goro, because that's pretty much what she was. And all of her costumes look really, I don't know. The only one I'm really a big fan of is her Mortal Kombat Armageddon costume. That one I think did a good job of taking the female 4-arm Shokan look and sort of making it unique to her to where she's not just female Goro. My least favorite Sheeva look might be her MK9 look, to be quite honest. I think I even like the MK3 Sheeva more than I like the MK9 one. Honorable mention going to MK11 Sheeva as well, just because she looked radically different to me, which sounds kind of hypocritical to say, like she looks too much like Goro and then she looks too different from what her design normally is. I know that sounds crazy, but I felt like they went too far with the Sheeva design in Mortal Kombat 11. It's like pick a street, either Sheeva's gonna look like a creature or she's gonna look like a normal woman, but to try to combine the two I thought was a little crazy for that one. So, my negative thoughts about Sheeva out of the way. The idea of doing a redesign for her in MK1 was fascinating to me, simply because there's so many Shokan in Outworld in this game, and Outworld looks so much like Edenia. It's like I can play with sort of different colors in her design itself, a lot more than, I don't know, I guess a normal Sheeva look would be. There's so many vibrant colors in Outworld too, so really wanted to keep that in mind when trying to create a color scheme or some type of look for her going forward. But all that being said, let's get ready to see what I come up with for a brand new Mortal Kombat 1 Shokan. Female Shokan. Alright, right off the bat, I don't know why, but I wanted Sheeva to look very different from her traditional like Mortal Kombat looks in terms of her hairstyle. I just think we always get some type of Mohawk Sheeva, and I get it, she's like some type of beastly Shokan creature, but still, it's like there's still something about that that's way too close to Goro. Like I wanted a Sheeva that at least looked kinda separate from Goro or something, and I figured the best way to do that is to just give her like a normal long-haired female type of design. Sort of a weird time where like the idea of giving Sheeva a sort of bland, normal looking female design actually works for the character because it's so unlike her designs to begin with. I also stuck with giving her the earrings as well just because I like that from Mortal Kombat 3. Don't ask me why. As far as her actual attire, I was kinda all over the place. I looked at quite a few of just the random NPCs from Outworld that come up with ideas to use for her outfit. I also looked at some of her old Mortal Kombat designs. The two specific ones was her outfit in Mortal Kombat 11, just because I like the accessories for it, and her MK Armageddon one, which I already stated is probably my favorite of hers. Not that there's many, I think Sheeva's only been in maybe 4 Mortal Kombat games total. I also made the odd choice, why I have no idea. Unlike normal redesigns that I do where I always have to have some type of asymmetrical element to it, I didn't do that here. What I did instead, which kind of don't know why, but it was just a thing to do, I guess. I wanted Sheeva to have different accessories for her upper and lower arms. I'm not really sure why, I just wanted her arms to look different for some reason. Like I'm not accustomed, and I don't think many people are accustomed to drawing like sort of humanoid seeming creatures. It's weird to say 4-arm and humanoid in the same statement, but you get what I mean by that. Like it's not normal to draw people with 4 arms. So I'm completely unaccustomed to doing that. I didn't even anatomically know how I was supposed to draw how the arms come out of the body essentially, because it's something I've never really had to think about before. Luckily with the arms in Mortal Kombat characters, they don't necessarily make sense in terms of how they look against the clothes. I think 4-arm Pokemon, specifically there's a 4-arm character in the Pokken Yeah, the Pokken Tournament game, which I guess was like that Tekken Pokemon game or whatever that nonsense was. There's a four-arm character in that game that I feel like it's executed a lot better than at least the Goro and Sheeva designs and Mintaro and etc. etc. Just anatomically, it just seems something wrong with where the arms are coming out on the torso. But in any event, because that design flaw is innately in every four-armed creature in Mortal Kombat, I was able to sort of get away with that here. My proportions being off with her arms isn't the biggest issue in the world. Then outside of her arms, I wanted to give her I don't know what type of like shorts design I gave her, just something to cover up her lower body. I didn't want Sheeva to be as covered up as her previous MK11 design. I wanted some skin showing, but at the same time I didn't want her as exposed as the MK3 Sheeva. Sort of that fine line and still showing skin in a female character, but still trying to make it look tastefully done, or at least kind of covered just enough for like the modern NetherRealm games, since they're such big fans of keeping the females completely covered nowadays. Just finding a nice in-between between the two. Not being modern MK looking style while at the same time not being as egregious as Mortal Kombat 9 was. The design that I used on almost like her shin guards that I placed on her, being honest, I completely took from one of the Shokans. Like I said, just looking at random NPC designs, it was a Shokan design in Outworld and MK1 that I looked at. I'm just assuming that's just some kind of Shokan design because I saw it on two similar characters. I don't know, they might have cloned the same guy and just changed the colors of the I have no idea, but the design was on both characters, so I'm just assuming that's a Shokan design of some sort, and I placed it on Sheeva here. Before I continue any further, just want to remind everybody, if you're enjoying the video and like the design so far, to go ahead, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Anyways, moving along, so after sort of sketching out her look and then doing the line art for the design, which took extremely long, I'm not gonna lie, I am not accustomed to having to draw a character that, I don't know what it was about, just the added arms added so much extra time to this design than I think was normal. Like, obviously it would take longer to draw when you have extra stuff going on, but I don't know why this Sheeva design took me so long to draw. But finishing her lineup up, I started the coloring of Sheeva. Played with the colors quite a few times. I initially had her way too light and pale. She almost looked like MK11 Sheeva. Didn't like that at all, so I sort of darkened her up a bit. Then moved forward with the design. I also gave her the traditional red Sheeva eyes too, because I didn't like only her pupils being red in the MK11 design. They bothered me for some reason that I can't explain. It just didn't look like Sheeva to me. I don't know. It might just be me. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. But I left her with the traditional red eyes. Then I left a good chunk of her outfit red, simply because that's just the main color of Sheeva's outfit. So it was almost the equivalent of like putting yellow on Scorpion or blue on Sub-Zero. Like, I just knew I had to have red on Sheeva's design, at least mainly on her little sash in the front and her top. As an accent, I knew I was going to give her sort of gold pieces. I knew I was going to use like gold and silver accessories and pieces on her clothing. I didn't at first know what the third color I was going to try to use for the design. I went ahead and went with blue. Once again, there's lots of blue and greens in this new Outworld, so I figured that on a new Shokan design for Sheeva would be interesting. Plus, I can't really think of Sheeva with a lot of blues in her designs to begin with, and it looked pretty cool when I finished it. Also had to make sure I went ahead and gave her the little, I was about to say Tarkatan spots, the little Shokan spots in her skin as well. So then after that, it was the fun part of the design, and that's doing the shadows and the highlights. Which the shadows took me a little longer than usual, but it was still fine. Not a lot of real issues. Like I said, the shadows is always like it's time consuming, but it's also extremely simple once you gauge where you want your shadows and sort of light source to be coming from. The large part was getting the shadows in on her arms and around her cleavage and everything like that. Once I had all that done, I pretty much had a handle on the shadows going forward. It was easy to knock out from there. And then I gave her so many like gold and metallic pieces that also helped out a lot, because I get to take a few liberties with sort of shadows and shine in my designs that way. Then after fixing in the shadows, I started the highlights, which she started looking horrifying once I did the highlights on her face. It's kind of what I had in mind here. Then doing like details on the hair and skin and whatnot, and adding the little finishing touches on the design along with the specular highlights. She was finished, and I had this brand new MK1 Sheeva. Yeah, she seems to look like she fits in with Melina and Katana and Lee May and that whole cast of characters in Outworld in the new game. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you like the design or not and how it compares to traditional Sheeva designs. Also, let me know what your favorite Sheeva design is in history anyways, because I'm very curious as to that. But in any event, once again, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Friendship. Sheeva wins. Flawless victory.